It is time to talk Premier League Player of the Restart. Craig Burley joining me to do so. There have been some brilliant players since the rest, but who stands out above all others, Craig? I'm going to throw a few names at you, and you can tell me what you think. And pretty topical at the moment, Christian Pulisic. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely brilliant. Obviously, there's a big push here in the States for Christian Pulisic to play well. There's a lot of paranoia surrounds this player and any player who sort of raises their head above the parapet, who is of an American persuasion. But that being said, you know, Christian Pulisic is going to have to play well, Kay, to keep his place in the Chelsea side, and that's good for the player because of the players that they have, because the players they're going to bring in, Timo Werner and Ziyech from Ajax. But he's standing up to the task at the moment, and he's probably, I wouldn't say the form of his life because he played some good stuff at Dortmund, but he is making sure that Frank Lampard is almost putting him as the first name on the team sheet. And Lampard said it yesterday again after the Palace game, where Pulisic scored the great goal. He said it's not just his play, it's not just his pace, it's not just his game awareness, but it's his end product. And he's adding end product to his game as well now. So there'll be lots of people here in America jumping for joy at how Christian Pulisic is playing.
What do you think about those who are already making the comparisons with Eden Hazard?
I think they should go and slowly take their head out the sand, because Eden Hazard carried Chelsea for a long time and got his move to Real Madrid. He's a multiple league winner. He is a hugely talented Belgium international, as we know, who was coveted by arguably the biggest club in the world in Real Madrid. So, you know, this is typical of I think, the American rationale where, and maybe it's not just Americans, maybe it's other people that are doing it as well. But, you know, trying to compare people too early. Christian Pulisic is a huge talent, but he's a young man, and you know, there's no guarantee come next season with all these new players coming in that he's going to get the game time he needs. All it takes is, you know, 2 or 3 quiet games, and any manager worth a salt will have you out the team, and they'll have Hudson-Odoi in, or they'll have Werner on the left, or they'll have Mason Mount. They'll have any of these players. So I think we need to go slowly with Pulisic. It's a learning curve for him. He's doing great at the moment, but you can't compare him to a player who literally carried one of the biggest teams in the Premier League for a few seasons.
Okay, so pump the brakes on the hype train just for now. Another name for you, Kevin De Bruyne. It's been brilliant since play returns. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, I just, you know, I don't... Find me somebody who's not a fan of Kevin De Bruyne. That's the way I would put it. You know, he's such a talented guy, such a great player, but he's playing in a magnificent side. I know they haven't had the best season by their standards, and Liverpool have won the league at a canter, but we know Man City, if they could patch up the positions at the back that have been problematic, could wipe any team in the world over 90 minutes. So he's had that, you know, all these great players to play with. But yeah, it's been no surprise that he's been as good as he has been.
Is he the best player in the Premier League?
Wow. Well, there's a lot. I mean, Sadio Mane, you know, Mo Salah, Virgil van Dijk, you know, all these guys, other guys at City as well. It's a difficult one. There's so many talented players in the Premier League as there are in the Bundesliga, Serie A, and the Liga. It's really difficult when you see what Liverpool have achieved as a team. You know, if you take Kevin De Bruyne out the Man City team, they will still function. If you take Virgil van Dijk out the Liverpool team, it's a big problem. So that's one way to look at it, but he's a hugely talented guy.
I've got a few Manchester United players to throw at you. I'll start with the youngest of them, Mason Greenwood. Yeah,
what a talent and what an opportunity that this guy's been given. 2-footed, quick, can score goals, and he's been a breath of fresh air. Hasn't always played, has been in and out since the lockdown, you know, off the bench, then he starts. But he's got end product, and he's really given Ole Gunnar Solskjaer food for thought. Here's the problem again for the young guys is that, and it's the same with Pulisic at Chelsea, is Man United might go out and spend a big budget on Jadon Sancho. And so getting game time over a longer period is going to be potentially problematic. But that doesn't take away from the fact what he's doing at the moment. Is another one for Gareth Southgate to enjoy and to think about for the Euros in a year's time. But you know, England have got an unbelievable amount of talent going forward. If they could just find a couple of decent centre halves and maybe a goalkeeper, I mean, they could be a big threat for France. And that's coming from a Scotsman, Kay. You know what I mean?
I know, can't believe it. I can't believe it.
Well, I'm not like Steve Nicol. I'm not an English hater. We've both lived in England for 20 odd years, and he still can't get over it. But Mason Greenwood has got a big career in front of him. But obviously, at a club like Man United, who need to be at the top of Europe and England, they're going to go and spend money, and so that's the issue there.
Well, just to let you know as well, my last name is Murray. I'm a quarter Scottish, so I'll let you away with that one anyway.
Okay.
Bruno Fernandes, we've talked about him before, Craig. He's been brilliant since January, but he's kept that up since play return too.
Do you know, I think when we talk about all the players, and I think we're going to throw, are we throwing Martial in there as well?
Go on, let's throw Martial in. Who
has been excellent, and I think Martial's big issue is his consistency. If he finds consistency, he plays. But I'm not convinced we're going to see that. We might see it between now and the end of the season, particularly because Man United's fixtures, if you look at their fixture list between now and the season close, is probably the easiest out of all the big teams. So the likelihood is they're going to finish in the top four, I think, with Leicester probably falling out. So you'll probably find that consistency. But I think over the season, I think if I was a United fan, it would concern me if I was relying on Martial to do it every week. Bruno Fernandes, I think I would just pick Kay over everybody. Not being the best player in the Premier League, you mentioned De Bruyne. I don't necessarily think he's proven that yet. But I think he's proven both before and since the restart has kicked in that he's been such a difference for Man United and being a game changer. And he's been that link that they've missed, one of the links that they've missed, but he's been so big for them in that final third that I think he has had the most impact over a short period. And I would go for Bruno Fernandes as my player of the restart, and probably he would have been my player had it continued through, because he was sensational when he come in. He's kept that going, and he's really been the gel between the midfield and that front three, if it is a front three, and he's been terrific. And I don't think there'll be many Man United fans on this occasion would disagree.
Yeah, a few players have shone very brightly since the restart, but none quite so bright as Bruno Fernandes, it seems.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.